Yo, 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 welcome to Shoot Sessions, episode 7, coming from our Shoot Sessions studio. I am your host, OJ, alongside the cool guy, Doza.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's going on, man? How's your week?
My week is good. It's October now.
Oh, man, October already.
I'm going to be at 28 soon.
Yep.
So it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. What are we going to do for Doza's birthday coming up on the 6th, which is in a few days, man.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Happy birthday to everybody that I know. There's too many of you.
Yeah.
That I know that have a birthday today. Happy birthday, Michelle, Jonah, Tawny Lynn.
All the way in Japan.
Adele, everybody I know, man. Just happy birthday. That group, happy birthday. But once again, we want to thank our listeners, our viewers. You guys have been supporting us from day one. We really appreciate it. You know, here at Shoot Session Studios, and me and Doza are very thankful that you guys have sent us, emails and comments and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to all the Twitter followers that we've gotten over the last week. Facebook followers, Instagram followers, iTunes supporters, man.
Yeah, I wanted to give a special shout out to D'Lo Brown is the greatest.
Oh, nice.
Who wrote us the nicest review on iTunes. You want to go check that out? Go ahead. Also, Janelle BTG, thank you for your love. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And yeah, many more to come, man. Much appreciation. We wouldn't be here doing this without you guys supporting us. We love doing this. We love talking about it, but you guys are the ones that support us. You guys are the ones that listen and view us every week, so we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
All right. As you can tell, our studios has
changed
transferred
a little bit.
We had to move rooms, so bear with us. But as you can tell by the decor, we are gamers here. Our producer, our super producer, is somewhat of a video game freak. And, you got Batman over here. You got a bunch of books.
Yeah, I'm going to steal some of this stuff later.
But shout out to him, too, man. Without him, we can't do this every week. So, all right, let's get into this, man. First of all,
let's do it.
Already I have on here, early birthday wishes for Doza. So, we're not going to see you on your birthday. We're not going to do this podcast. So, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you next week on episode 8 on what you did and what you can remember. So, that'll be fun.
All right, sure. That sounds good.
A fun first 10 minutes. Before we want to start off, today we start off talking about what's happened on SmackDown Raw. We got a couple topics for you. We got a mailbag question, so that'll be fun. But before all that, I don't know if you've seen this, but for all those of you that have WWE Network, if you haven't watched the SummerSlam NXT panel, I suggest you go out and watch it. If you don't have WWE Network, you can get it for the low price of $9.99. But it's a great panel. It has... obviously, it's a little older because it's SummerSlam, but it's got everyone from Sasha Banks, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor. It's got Seth Rollins, and it's got Triple H obviously in the middle. And they're just kind of asking questions, and it's got Corey Graves. They're just asking them questions on like how it is to be in NXT, what they feel, how NXT has evolved into. They talked about how Florida used to be, where before the Performance Center. It's a good view, man.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was wondering what that was because I saw it on like Sasha Banks' like Twitter and stuff, and then I was going through my WWE Network and that was there. So all right, if you're gonna endorse it, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah,
too.
Man, you gotta flag that. Check it out when you get a chance. I don't know, it's like an hour, but it doesn't matter, man. Like they talk about their NXT experience up to this point. What it took to kind of come from the indies and, the background of everything, like how Seth Rollins came from like the Florida, undergrounds to what he is now. It's a good little, panel talk.
Right,
so
man.
it's really cool, man. I'm getting all excited, I'm excited for it.
I'm going to check that out, dude.
So check it out for all of you that haven't checked it out already. So a lot of stuff happening. Let's talk about, what's happened on SmackDown Raw. We'll touch on a couple topics, but let's just kind of get into this. We don't really have a format as far as like what matches happen, stuff like that. How we do it at Shoot Sessions. Let's just start off with this whole Kane thing, man.
All right.
So Night of Champions happens. Kane makes his return, as you've heard from our review from last week. Makes this dramatic return as Demon Kane. Messes with Seth Rollins. Does that whole thing. But then, the last week or so, he comes out as corporate Kane, but it's more of this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing, man, which I'm all for. So, like, what do you think about where the direction of Kane is? Because he's been stale the last year or so.
Yeah, I'm a big Kane fan, so this is good. And it was hard for me to get interested in him, like, when he was corporate Kane, and it just sucked for me because I really did like Kane, and I have really fond memories of him like, growing up. So I'm glad they have an angle that I'm relatively interested in, and I mean, people think it might be kind of dumb because it's kind of out there. But I don't mind it.
I've heard from different sites. Look, we peruse a lot of sites, a lot of Twitter accounts, a lot of wrestling. We love wrestling as a whole, and I have heard some comments about it. It's taking away from the whole heavyweight title. It's taking away from the like Seth Rollins being a dominant champion or trying to be a dominant champion. I could see their point of view, but he was stale. Like the whole corporate thing went on for so long. Even before that, when he was trying to be this Demon Kane, he wasn't like this. So to go from one to the other, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and if you were gonna bring him back, you couldn't bring him back like underwhelmingly like that after such a long absence. So I'm glad they did that. And I get that. I guess Demon Kane is supposedly supposed to be stronger.
Yeah.
Than like corporate Kane.
As we saw on Raw, this whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. So like corporate Kane gets his ass beat in the ring with a chair.
Oh yeah.
His ankle apparently snapped in two through the the in between chair shot by Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And then of course he gets carried to the back as corporate Kane, goes into the ambulance.
It drives just a little bit and the fucking fire and whatever.
Knew something was gonna happen. Yeah. So like he comes out and he's obviously limping because he is corporate Kane. And all of a sudden he
just kicks his butt and he becomes normal. I'm like, oh hell yeah.
So the fact that Demon Kane is actually demonic, that's a good thing. And I'm all for that.
I'm all for it too. I don't mind it. I guess you have to really suspend your disbelief for it.
Yeah.
But I've always been down for that stuff. And I was reading something online about that whole segment where he goes into the ambulance and like how the smoke comes and then he just emerges. Like, I guess we're supposed to assume that Kane killed everyone in there.
Yeah,
I came out. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Because look, all of a sudden, like there's smoke and then it turns red. Then you don't see anybody. Yeah. They're all dead, man. I mean, it's
that's a funny theory, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm with
but
that.
Because it's PG, you couldn't show anything, of course, and it's understandable because of the rating. But I'm gonna assume they're dead. So I mean, hey, peace out for all those
sorry paramedics,
workers, man. Like, hey, you did your job.
You can't mess with Demon Kane.
Yeah. So they do this whole performance evaluation, which again it's been done before, but at least they kind of do it in a way where it's a little fresher. Triple H, Stephanie, when they're on camera, they're like, what happened. And the funniest thing is, like, if you see Kane's reactions to things, like corporate Kane's just like, oh, happy-go-lucky. He's got a little coffee cup in his hand, and he's just like, why? What happened? What's going on? Oh my God!
It's really good. And then
it's fresh.
I don't know. They brought out the real like HR person from what I hear.
So I was trying to read up on it on some sites, and at first it said that this Ashley from HR,
that was her name, I think,
was the actual Ashley. I don't know her last name. I'm not even going to try. It was the actual Ashley that's the head of the director of human resources.
Yeah, that's WWE. What I heard.
So I'm reading up on this. I'm like, oh man, I mean that's cool, but this chick, she's too cool and collective for being like a actual director of human resources. So I started reading up on it, and someone actually said the girl that was on TV wasn't actually the director of human resources, but the director of human resources is actually named Ashley. So it's based on the real person.
Okay, makes sense.
And her actual name is Ashley, and apparently she looks similar to her. So,
Because I was like,
didn't have the acting.
Like, oh, she's pretty. And she's pretty. I figured, like, pretty. Oh, maybe
she was too calm. The girl was too calm. I mean, I wanted to believe it, but I was like, you're in front of like 30,000 people, and you're just part of human resources. That's pretty nuts. But
yeah, that'd be pretty intimidating if you're. That's a lot of people.
But it's cool how they did that. I like how they brought out the severed head
Oh, yeah.
of Seth Rollins' statue. I thought that was funny. It's cool how they did it. The only thing personally that I had against it was they stopped it right away. It's almost like they're rushing into.
Oh, what do you mean?
The whole, the whole fact that people now know that there's no, difference between Corporate Kane and Demon Kane. It would have been funnier to see another couple weeks of like Corporate Kane coming out and like before the attack. Like I'm just saying I think the attack by Seth Rollins it was too quick. It just seemed like they needed to rush into that and then the Demon Kane comes out because you obviously I don't know. Maybe I'm just not thinking straight, but it just seems like you can't go back to Corporate Kane because you saw the whole thing unfold.
Yeah, it'd be tough to, but I guess you have to proceed a little faster considering if you want to do a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. But you have a month between each pay-per-view, which is a good 4, maybe sometimes even 5 WWE Raws and 4 or 5 SmackDowns. That's more than enough time. I think they just have too many things going on with other people, and a 3-hour show doesn't even seem like a long time anymore.
Yeah, and I figure you want to just set it up now because, Kane's not going over it. Yeah. And as much as, like, Kane is cool again and whatever, like, you don't forget that, he's been, like, jobbing the past, like, couple years, and he's definitely not gonna go for another title run now.
Yeah, I mean they do owe it to him because I think one of his title runs was like a day or an hour or something, and it would be cool to have a Kane title run even if it's for a pay-per-view or a month or so. Yeah, but I agree. I can't see them taking it off Rollins, and I mean why would they take it off Rollins for Kane if they didn't do it for Sting? That sort of thing. Obviously, you're thinking, or we're all thinking that he's going for the title. He holds up the belt on a couple occasions.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty like out there.
But
I'm thinking like that. Even if it is a title match, it might not even be the main event, considering how the last Raw ended.
Yeah. Oh man, the last Raw. We'll talk about that later because I think we need a good segment on the Wyatts versus the Shield and all that stuff, but. The way that they ended with Kane and Seth Rollins, on Raw, it obviously seems like he's going for the title. So we're going to assume, at least for now, that it's Kane versus Seth Rollins for the title at Hell in a Cell. I'm assuming it's going to be
that too.
A Hell in a Cell. At least if not, it should be because it's Kane.
Yeah.
But what do you think about like a title match between these two?
I'm fine with it as long as Kane doesn't go over. And if it's the main event, you can't have that as the main event. So if you want to get this out of the way early to make more time for other stuff, I'm all for it. I wonder how they're going to treat this because we all know Kane's not going to win.
Yeah, it was hard to it's hard to believe that he's going to win. That there's any chance that he's going to win. It's just as hard to believe that Big Show's going to beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
Saturday,
and they're really pushing that.
And
well, I figure we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But it's for me, it's along the same lines. So it just doesn't seem like Kane's going to win it. But we'll see how the next couple weeks are. But I like how they did with Kane and the whole Corporate and Demon Kane. But it's making Seth Rollins look like, for lack of a better word, horrible, like champion.
Who are you supposed to root for here? Like Kane or? Well, I guess you're supposed to root for Kane.
If you're a face, then you root for Kane. But there's a lot of people out there that still like Seth Rollins because he's a good
Rollins
wrestler.
Coming out, yeah. Well, if you ignore that, like he's coming out, he's like, he's not sane, and then he attacks him, and he's just whining like a bitch and shit, and then. And
I understand that heel champion is supposed to do that. I mean, hell, even Stone Cold did that when he was a heel champion.
Yeah.
But it's just you're building your whole foundation on this guy. Make him at least a credible champion. So that's my beef on it.
All right, well, I am with you. Yeah. Like if a victory over Kane won't really do much.
Yeah. But I like how they're promoting it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So we had a few matches here and there from SmackDown. Let's talk about the tag team division. So you have the New Day, which are your current champions. Then you have the Dudley Boys, who are the last challengers for it. You have primetime players. Somewhere down the line, you have Ascension. Somewhere down the line, you have Lucha Dragons. They're in their own little squabble.
Yeah, that's not.
But for now,
coming up soon.
But for now, you have those 3 teams. So I know we were going to talk about the Wyatts and the Shield later, and we'll talk about Bray and Roman later. But what do you think about this tag team of Harper and Strowman?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up because they're still booking Strowman hard, like strong as hell.
Yeah,
they just beat the primetime players.
Yeah,
and that was Titus O'Neil. That's a big man.
Yeah, yeah, and he choked him out. Come on, WWE, you got to give us a finishing move name or something. Like he's got a submission move, he's got the finishing move. I don't know what it is. So
yeah, the announcers are usually how you learn what that is.
Yeah, but I think we need to talk about the announcers in a little later because I have some things on that too. But at least for now, I agree they're booking Strowman as this dominant force.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I ask is they obviously look like they're going to do some tag team work. They battled the primetime players. They beat the primetime players. So now, you're kind of going up the ladder. My question to you is, what about Eric Rowan? He's supposedly back to the Performance Center, kind of training again. He'll be back pretty soon. What is your take on where this is going to go as a whole family and as like tag team? Because remember, before he got injured, Harper and Rowan were kind of going up the ranks in the tag team division, but now you put him in with Strowman.
I figure they're gonna just keep booking Strowman hard and strong, eventually to become like a singles guy. Probably be huge enough to have a match against somebody big at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that seems like the most logical thing you could do with him, because even now there's still no answer for him. Like Chris Jericho came out, he whooped his ass,
kicked his ass,
and like Roman can't touch him yet either.
Yeah.
And Roman is,
he's a big dude.
He's and he's supposed to be like book strong, and that was their other guy. But and I like what they're doing.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, when Rowan comes back, do you think Rowan is going to join the Wyatt family again? Because remember, he was a face when he got injured, or before he got injured, he was a face, and then they started tagging him with Harper, which he was kind of that like in between guy again. What do they do? Does he come back and screw with the Wyatts?
No, I hope he joins the Wyatts just because I want to see a stable.
Yeah.
But if he could find an angle where he joins team whatever else, like I want to see what they do with that. But I think the best thing to do right now, if you want to keep like pushing the Wyatt family, is to make them grow, and bringing Rowan back would probably be the best move to do that.
That's the one thing I never understood. Like, the Wyatt family has been there for now a couple years, and they've never been this dominant force that I always think that they should be. When they came out with the vignettes and they were trying to push them hard, and then they finally came out. It's like I thought that this family was going to kind of grow, not NWO grow, but like grow a few more members, and then just like tear everyone apart. Kind of like what the Shield actually did. Yeah. And then they get into this whole thing with John Cena. Then they get into this whole thing with Chris Jericho or more Bray Wyatt, and then it kind of just goes away. Like I would love for the Wyatt family to grow a little bit and then just dominate. Kill the competition.
Yeah, and now's that time. Like, if you could make a big stable and you have the most dominant guy right now, other than maybe Lesnar or Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna book Wyatt versus Reigns as the main event of Raw, that's saying something. So they believe in these two guys. So why not push? Hell, give a couple members more to the Shield. Make it like a full Wyatt versus Shield. Fight off, like, DX versus the Nation, or
this is really interesting.
Anybody, they can go so many ways with this thing. I hope that they go the proper way, at least for us, and kind of build towards that like stable versus stable and dominate. And
it looks like the feud isn't going away for a while, even after Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
like. It's still it looks like it'll still continue, and hopefully maybe down the line somebody could get a belt, like the tag team belts.
Yeah, because it's just been Harper. Harper's the only one that's gotten the IC title. Even on the Shield side, Dean Ambrose is the only one that's gotten a title, I think. He had the
He had
U.S.
the
title.
was he U.S. or Intercontinental?
I think he was U.S. title holder.
Okay.
So I mean, they've had like one run each as a group. Man, that can be so dominant. But speaking of, so we're talking about the Wyatt family and the Shield. Might as well talk about Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. So they closed out Raw.
Yeah.
Unbelievable match.
That was unbelievable.
Unbelievable match. They've fought so many times, but every single time they either give us something new or they do the same thing, but so powerful. You know, it's amazing how they just have this chemistry together.
Yeah, it was good. Like you've seen them wrestle before, and then there's they interrupt, but this time they went for it, and I like how they finished. They didn't try to do anyone clean. They did a double DQ, but they still kept fighting into the crowd.
Yeah.
They're doing big spots, like throwing the fucking
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Wyatt threw the guy at
that was
Roman.
insane because he literally picked him up and threw him at Roman Reigns.
That's crazy.
That was insane. You know, it ended with a spear on the announce table. Raw goes off the air. I want more. It's great. Like
It's great.
I can't wait to watch SmackDown tonight and
big ups to you, Roman, man. Like you've main evented it.
Yeah, I'll give credit, man. I'll give credit where credit is due. Roman, you know, come WrestleMania, he was being booed.
Yeah.
You know, like was not like just he was too early. You know, they didn't want to give him the push, but he's earned back the respect of these fans.
They're getting getting a holy shit chance.
Yeah.
And all the other crap.
You know, but he's getting cheers.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to turn him heel, which was a good thing. You know, I thought they were going to turn him heel. They didn't.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's one of those things where I'm glad that it's kind of going the way
I do like
does.
that he's a face, and if they had to turn anyone heel, I'm glad it was Rollins, because it'd be like weird if Roman was the corporate guy. But and right now he's finally getting into the zone where he needs to be. Ending that Raw with the spear.
Yeah.
When that happened, I mean, you see it coming, obviously, because he's standing. Wyatt's in perfect position to get the spear, and I'm like, oh shit, is this gonna happen? But it was just once it happened, it was moment.
It was one of those things. It was cool. It was really cool. Even the spot where they went through the barricade, where Wyatt just ripped through it, and their spots are getting more and more intense. I mean, Bray did that against Cena last year when they had their feud, and it was spectacular then and was spectacular on Raw. So big ups to them, man. Big ups to them as a tandem. You know, great chemistry. I hope it keeps on going. Rumor is that they're gonna do an actual Hell in a Cell at the next pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. So it's gonna be, imagine Bray and Roman in a fucking steel cage.
That'll be fucking brutal if it's like that. Considering how they ended the last Raw, like you got to go up, you got to step your game up, step up the intensity, and that's probably the perfect place to do it.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm glad that they're kind of going towards that, and they're keeping Bray and Roman in the mix. The fact that they main event is awesome. I hope that Dean Ambrose kind of comes back in. They bring in the rest of the Wyatt family. I love the fact that they can go at each other. So the next question that I had though is so Randy Orton, you know, made a brief appearance on Raw just to kind of tell Roman that, you know, he's up for fighting the Wyatt family and blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, didn't make a showing on Raw.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole thing? Like, is Randy just in limbo? Do they not know what to do with him? Do you think he's actually gonna help the Shield, you know, battle the Wyatts?
I would like that to happen, but then I don't know if, you know, Randy's the guy to push that you add that puts the Shield over the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
Because, if you add him, like, I don't want him beating Strowman.
I don't think he can. I mean, like, I know eventually somebody's going to beat Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody's eventually going to. I mean, there have been times where Roman does a Superman punch and, you know, Strowman will kind of get knocked off his feet or whatever. But I mean, the way that they're building him, yeah, you're right. You said it earlier. The only one that looks more dominant is Brock.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at least right now, I can't imagine a Brock Strowman fight, but
no.
Eventually, I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
But see, you know, like, because he's so dominant now, like, who are you going to bring in to kind of fight the Wyatt family. You know, like Randy
I don't
Orton
know.
can't do it.
Yeah,
man.
Randy,
Orton
like,
can't do it.
I would like for him to join because I like anything Randy Orton does.
Yeah.
He's still like, I'm still a fan of his, no matter how like old whatever he is.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's the answer, and I wouldn't want him to be the answer to, the Braun Strowman problem and the Wyatt family problem. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he wants to do a triple threat match, sure, why not? That'd be cool.
So we'll see where it goes. Rumor is again Hell in a Cell. Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt. I don't think they've announced it, so that it's still a rumor. I hope it happens in a steel cage. That'll be great. We spoke earlier. We were starting to speak about the tag teams. I got off topic. So the tag team champions, New Day. So they've been messing around, with the Dudleys. I was happy to see Xavier Woods have a match with John Cena.
Yeah, that was good.
For me, anyone that gets in the ring with John Cena, you want to push. You obviously want to showcase. So the fact that I thought when they were huddling and, doing their whole thing, I thought Big E was going to, take the ranks.
Yeah, and I was excited if Big E would do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to see Kofi. But then Xavier Woods, I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because,
all right, let's see it.
Yeah, you rarely see Woods fight. He's always the cheerleader he's a great cheerleader, by the way. But, he's always on the side with his trumpet and all that stuff. But I'm glad that he got some offense in, like he's still a pretty good wrestler.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the day.
He got some skills. He's not going to be John Cena.
No. I didn't expect him to be John Cena.
But it was great how he even introed like, all right, you want some? Come get some.
Yeah.
And then you hear the trombone. Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, dude.
Oh, man. I don't know how many times I've heard that damn, John Cena entrance, and I'm loving it even more and more. Damn it. I hate the fact that I like it so much. But so New Day interrupted the end of the match between Cena and Woods. They come out, start beating up on Cena. Of course, Dudley Boys come out.
Yeah.
An impromptu 6-man tag match on Raw. I was surprised that New Day actually won cleanly. I mean, when I say cleanly, he pinned him. But of course, there was a distraction by Xavier Woods. But that, I don't know, man. I can't get sick of that Trouble in Paradise finishing move. I love that finishing move. I'm a big Kofi fan. A huge Kofi fan.
I don't know about the clean, if I'll agree with you on that. But yeah, I'm cool with that. I didn't want the Dudley Boys or Cena to win that one.
Yeah.
I really wanted the New Day to get
so
that one.
so
that was good to see them win.
Yeah, so I'm glad that the New Day won. Where it's going to go, we're assuming that, New Day is going to battle Dudley Boys again at the next pay-per-view. I'm glad John Cena's Open Challenges or U.S. Open Challenges back.
Yeah.
Because every week there's always somebody new and someone that can get a chance to work with one of the best wrestlers. So
that'll put that'll elevate you like it elevated Owens.
Oh yeah.
And Cesaro even even though he's like, I don't know, he's been on a losing streak. He's just but when he had that feud going on with, I guess it was like him, Owens, and Cena, like Cesaro was that was good. Getting like fans.
Yeah, Cesaro needs to have a good feud with somebody. I think he battled Bo Dallas on the last taping or whatnot. I mean, Bo Dallas has just become a glorified jobber, at this point. And Cesaro beating him doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, you can't push Cesaro.
But yeah, Cesaro needs it. I mean, I'm really hoping that they're not waiting for TJ to come back. But,
what's his status on him anyway?
His neck, his neck was fucked up. So he was out at least a year. I don't know what the time frame is from now, but I don't expect him back. Even when his neck is healed and he's ready to go, he's still got to get all the ring rust out, and he's still got to get all that stuff in. So it's gonna be a while, man. It's gonna be a while till he comes back. Way longer than what they should give Cesaro by himself. Or I mean, Cesaro on like this island without him. Push Cesaro.
Yeah, you should push him, but then he's losing to like guys like Big Show, and I get that they're trying to
push Big Show.
Promote,
at least for now.
Just for the pay-per-view, or not. It's just a house show, now I think about it, but they're filming it. That's coming this Saturday.
Yeah.
You want to build some drama for that, because, once I looked at, like, Big Show against Lesnar, I- mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
All right.
So this Saturday, they have a show at Madison Square Garden. I mean, MSG, the Garden, it's always going to be big.
Yeah.
For wrestling fans, for, basketball, you sell out Madison Square Garden as a rapper or a singer. I mean, it's top notch. So Madison Square Garden's a big deal. So, part of Lesnar's Go to Hell tour in October, will bring him to Madison Square Garden against Big Show. So we were talking about, Big Show and how they're trying to push him. He is not going to win. He is not going to win. There's no way that Big Show is going to beat Brock Lesnar unless Undertaker comes out.
Especially leading into the Hell in the Cell match.
There's no way. Unless Undertaker comes and
Nutshots this ball.
Yeah. Nutshot City. Patent pending by Doza.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, unless Undertaker actually comes back and does something to Brock Lesnar, there's no way that Big Show is going to win.
Yeah, and I get why they're, he's been winning. He beats Cesaro, then he beats Mark Henry, then he interrupts Heyman's promo. And they're
not ever interrupt Heyman.
Yeah, and I was, you remember the feud with them a while back where the suplex, or he suplexed him off the rope and then the fucking ring collapsed. Yep. And
one of the greatest moments of watching that on TV.
Oh man,
it was crazy because you didn't expect it. Obviously it's they didn't really do it. But at the same time, as a fan, man, it's like, holy shit! It's one of those holy shit moments.
I'm like,
holy shit. So yeah, I mean, it's good that they're giving Big Show a promo and giving him a chance to talk. He's not gonna win.
Yeah, dude. Like people, when you heard that, I didn't look to that feud. I looked at the past few years of Big Show's career, losing to Ryback recently, and just being one of the corporate fools with Kane, just jobbing to people, and when it was him and Kane at the end of the Royal Rumble with Reigns. Reigns was gonna go over them.
Sure. Look, we've always said it here that he is one of the most dominant big men to ever grace a ring.
Yeah.
What he's done for the sport as a giant, as one of those tall super guys, can't be, said enough.
Yeah, he has my respect for sure.
For sure. So, I mean, maybe this is one of those last runs where he gets kind of a main event push, even though we know he's not going to win. And that's all, and I'm all fine for it. But just as long as they don't kind of feed us shit that's like, Big Show may win. No, he's not gonna fucking win. It's like, it's Brock Lesnar. If he was battling Owens for the title at Madison Square Garden, okay, fine.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, he's not gonna win. So we'll see.
I'm looking forward to seeing this because I don't know if you could do that main event match without something cool happening.
Yeah,
with the crowd just being not into it.
But they have shown it. They have shown it on TV quite a bit, so they have to top it. If you're gonna show that shit on TV, the superplex and blah blah, you're gonna have to top it. They're gonna have to do something. Brock Lesnar's gonna need to stand on the railing and F5 him through the crowd or something something big. Someone's gotta die, or they're seriously hurt. Or something.
You want to build it up that much, show us that old footage, and all right, then let's see it, or let's fucking finally see somebody get up from a damn KO punch, at least, because no one gets up from a damn KO punch.
Yeah. So we'll see. That happens on Saturday, Madison Square Garden, live on the WWE Network, $9.99. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of inching towards the main thing that I want to talk about what's been happening SmackDown and Raw. We'll talk about the Divas in a couple minutes.
Okay.
But lastly, I just wanted to kind of bring out that this Ziggler and Rusev thing needs to go away. That's my opinion. They did a tag team match, I think, on SmackDown, Owens and Rusev versus Ryback and Ziggler. it went from that to SmackDown, and I heard maybe on like one of the new tapings coming up that Ziggler's now doing dark matches. I mean, dude, like, what do they not know what to do with this guy?
I don't know, man. Well, he was on Raw. He came in when I forget who was having the match. It must have been like
It was
Kevin Owens versus Rusev, but then Ryback was doing commentary.
Yeah.
And then they started kicking Ryback's ass.
Yeah.
And then Ziggler
comes back.
in.
It's like, come on, man. You know, like the feud is over. You know, like losing Lana was bad. You know, because it took away a lot from the feud. I think the feud would have gone on or should have gone on maybe another month. But Lana got injured. Summer Rae couldn't hold her own. You know, at least in that feud, they need to just kind of go away. They need
a turn or something to make it to spark some life into it. Because, you know, I'm interested in whatever Owens does, but I don't. You know, he has a thing with a Ryback. I don't know if they're gonna try to combine those two feuds.
Well, that's what they seemed that they were doing. You know, like they had him in a tag team match. And then, like you said, it was Owens versus Rusev, which is weird because it's like two heels going at it on a televised program. That rarely happens. You know, and then you have Ryback on commentary, and then Ziggler makes his appearance. So there's obviously things going on and whatnot. The thing is, these are four, and I'll give it to Ryback. You know, he has impressed me a little bit over the past few months. So you have four really good workers.
Yeah.
You know, not heavyweight superstars yet, but really four good, really
solid
good mid-carders.
Yeah.
And you're wasting them. You know, they're throwing in tag team match. They're doing the same feud. They need to liven them up. Do something with somebody else. And you know,
I feel like you probably should turn like Ziggler. And I think now would be a pretty opportune time because I don't know if you've heard or if you watched like the Total Divas thing where he was trying to kiss like Nikki Bella. Like now he seems like a big jerk.
Yeah.
So now would be appropriate for them to do it. Like
I always thought it was funny. Speaking of Total Divas, so I wasn't watching it, but I was getting a lot of the Twitter feed and all that stuff. And you know, like I haven't honestly, you know, I'm sorry WWE, but I haven't watched Total Divas.
I didn't watch it either. I learned from it through there.
Yeah, like Twitter feeds and all that stuff. So so I'm seeing all this stuff like Ziggler's trying to kiss Nikki Bella. Oh, but Nikki Bella's with John Cena and Brie Bella's like, you know, like whatever. This happened 3 months ago, people. You know, like if you're gonna do something like that, like a reality show, especially a reality show about wrestling where it's already scripted, have it somewhat close to what's happening now. You know, it's cool to see the behind the scenes about what happened in WrestleMania, and you know, but I think the last couple weeks they had, you know, TJ Kidd's, you know, injury and surgery and all that.
They had like when Dusty Rhodes died.
You know,
which is interesting to watch, but
it's cool to see the backstory on everything.
Yeah.
But the whole drama of it, especially if they do think about using, because I have heard the rumor too, Ziggler versus Cena, a perfect opportunity, but it's like, so what happened in the last 3 months? You know, like why all of a sudden are they feuding up?
Write it down like Cena saw it now.
Yeah, it's like Cena's like, oh, I was watching TV yesterday. And
Ziggler, you tried to kiss my girl.
You know, like what are you gonna do? I don't know. That I've always had that beef with Total Divas. I've told many of people, anyone who wants to listen, but it's one of those things where it's like you have a reality show about a scripted program. You know, try to put them together.
I don't think the audience of like, let's say in WWE Raw is the same audience as Total Divas. Divas is on E.
True.
With fucking the Kardashians and shit.
Yeah. Thank God this isn't a show about stuff like that, because OJ's rant would be an hour long every damn episode. I agree. It's on E. That's the programming for it. I understand, but you know, we as wrestling fans, you know, I'm sure that some people in the crowd, you know, have girlfriends or wives or even themselves. They watch Total Divas because they want to see the backstories on everything. But it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm talking about Night of Champions and Hell in a Cell. They're talking about WrestleMania and, you know, all this stuff. So it's like, all right. To each his own. If you want to listen, if you want to watch it, that's cool. But to go back to what you were saying, if they do something with Ziggler and Cena, I can see that happening because of Total Divas. I can see that feud becoming really good. You know, both of them are good workers. We already know how Cena does it. When Ziggler's given an opportunity, I think he takes it. You know, I just don't think that he's given the proper platform to really show his skills. And so him against Cena, and of course Ziggler would be the heel because, of the drama unfolding, blah, blah. Plus he's a better heel.
Yeah, Cena's not going to be the heel.
Cena's not going to be heel. WWE, I mean, I think that would be a good feud. I think that can last a couple months. Bring in the whole personal thing, when they bring in personal
it makes for good storylines. Like what we were talking about, Edge and Matt Hardy, and
Lita in the middle.
Lita there, they're doing the fucking live sex thing, from what I remember. Or was that was a different time? But
no, that was the time. That was the live sex thing. That was after the whole Matt Hardy thing happened, and Edge and Lita were kind of together.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That was horrible programming, by the way.
But then that shit got ratings, and
yeah, it did.
At least it was interesting.
So we'll see.
It's more interesting than fucking Rusev and Ziggler. Let's just put it at that.
Break that down. Make Owens a face. Make Rusev a face. Put them together. I think that can be good. Sorry, Ryback. You gotta wait your turn. Gotta do something. You have your rematch clause. That's great, but I just didn't see it. I think
you said make Owens and Rusev face?
Yeah. No. Make them face each other.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my bad. Make one of them face, but make them fight each other. I think that would be a good feud. They're both good workers. They both are big guys that have fast, speedy moves.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to see Rusev turn heel, and I don't want to see Owens turn heel. No. I mean face either.
I think Owens can turn. Well, yeah.
He gets enough love from the crowd that he could, but then I think who are your heels in the company? Is Rollins, there's Rusev. I guess you could say Triple H.
You could say Owens.
Owens is definitely. So if you take him away,
technically the Wyatt family, but
technically them too.
I don't see it. Bo Dallas
Stardust
and come on, Bo Dallas. God, I want that guy to get over so badly.
It's not his time, man.
He was such a good NXT champion. And then they brought him there, and that's great with the whole Bo Leaf
him
thing.
And like Adam Rose.
Oh yeah, man. Even Adam Rose. When he was Kruger, Leo Kruger. They need to tweak these guys a little bit, and I think that they can get over.
But there's just no place to put them, and I guess we're gonna talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
How that could improve, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. It's one of the topics, but we'll see what happens with those guys. But now to the nitty gritty. Last stop on this SmackDown Raw tour for us before we get into our main topics. The Divas. So, without saying anything about what's been going on, where do you think this revolution is going, and how do you feel about it?
It's going great to me. It's definitely better than it was when Nikki was the champion. Like, you have a heel Paige, and then you bring Natalya back, and you're starting kind of something between Paige and Natalya. You're leaving Charlotte, I guess, probably to go against Nikki Bella. I wish I could see more of Sasha Banks. Yeah,
it's like, where did Team Bad go?
I think she had a match with Nikki.
Yeah.
On, I believe it was, SmackDown is showing now, but then it was spoiled to me, and I think she tapped Nikki out. Or it was Team Bad against Team Bella, and then Sasha hit her, I forget what the move is called, but
the bank statement?
Yeah, that's it. God. On Nikki Bella, and she taps. So, I hope I see more of Sasha. I know we're just going to have to wait till after the Iron Man match next Wednesday.
Bayley versus Sasha Banks. It's going to be a good match. It's a damn good match.
But as far as the Divas are concerned, I'm digging it more, and I like where it's going. It stepped up ever since the Page bomb, if you want to say that.
Which I know you hate.
Just anything pipe bomb, anytime somebody does a shoot style promo, they call it a pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Just call it a whatever. I don't know.
Just call it a shoot.
Yeah. Ha.
So here's my take. I'm not gonna rant. But I'm gonna say some.
Oh, surprisingly.
So I'm trying to hold myself back. Past, I believe, Raw, when Nikki comes out and says her spiel, and longest reigning champion, and this and that, and it's like, just mention AJ. I understand that they don't want to, but just you have to. It's like not mentioning Sable.
I don't see why you would have to anymore.
know,
She
but-
is
well-
the longest reigning.
Yeah.
What, unless you want to say, yeah, and I beat AJ Lee. Oh man, she would get some mad heat for that.
Yeah. Well, you know, like that whole thing. Now Nikki Bella's thing is like, I was the one to start the Divas Revolution. You know, like I was the one. I was the hot, pretty one that,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. You know, it's like, all right, well, yeah, you had to beat somebody. Who was that you beat, Nikki? But, you know, fine. I'll get over it, you know, whatnot. I like where it's going to.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, you know, it needs to become, like, if you want to put over the women's division,
Yeah.
it's great and all. They're getting time. They're getting TV time. They're getting air time. But you have the capability and you have the wrestlers and you have the people to push them out of the Divas name and into a women's wrestling division. You know, the thing about NXT, like Bayley is your champion now, but the thing about NXT is it's a women's champion.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not a Divas champion. It's not a, you know, like pretty champion. It's a woman's champion.
No, yeah, like
you could tell by,
I get that, the respect thing.
You could tell by the the way they wrestle. You could tell by the moves that they do. There's no drama. There's none of that. I understand that the Raw and SmackDown they're different things. I understand that they're different shows, but bring women. You want to make the division good, make them wrestlers.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
the
I
whole
agree
thing.
with that. But then, like I said before, like you could do it without the name change, and I guess you're kind of pissed off that Nikki's still flaunting whatever that she's the champ. I don't mind it.
I'll get over that.
I don't give a shit. Like she doesn't have the belt anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever. She's gonna go away. You just can't make her lose and then make her disappear. She gotta have a rematch.
And
I think they'll put Charlotte over her.
And look, she's a good heel. You know, she's supposed to be heel. She's doing good. As a heel, you're supposed to be hated. You're supposed to have the crowd hate you. She's doing a pretty good job, at least on this standpoint, because I hate her. But I think she's doing a good job as a heel, and you need a face and a heel to have good drama unfold. But yeah, they just need to kind of push more the whole wrestling aspect. Fine, you want to keep a Divas Championship? That's great. The thing is, they can all wrestle now.
Yeah, they need, I guess, better matches.
Yeah.
You need a match like Bayley and Sasha to really get that.
Yeah.
The main roster girls going.
But think about it. You have Charlotte, who is the Divas champion. You know, you have Sasha Banks. You have Paige. You have Becky Lynch. You have Nikki Bella. You know, and even the rest of Team Bella and the rest of Team Bad, they're getting better. You know, they're not just pretty faces. They're not just managers anymore. These 9 girls, and if you now include Natalya, these 10 girls can wrestle. So put them in wrestling matches. You know, eventually they're going to have to kind of get them out of their little stables and go one-on-one. So I'm hoping they keep time for them, because now you're going to have women's matches in different parts of the segments. But this needs to start rolling. One thing I am looking forward to, though, is Paige and Natalya. If that feud ever starts, you have 2 of the best women wrestlers
That's going to
in
be
the world
good
today.
They could
because
put on a show.
Natty still can wrestle.
Uh-huh.
And Paige, we already know she can wrestle.
Yeah.
That'll be a good feud.
Yeah, that's what you need, some kind of excitement going behind something, and a Paige versus Natalya would be pretty good. It could be like a Bayley Sasha thing.
I think so.
It could get to that level, because when Charlotte was going against Nikki Bella, like, all right, they're gonna give it to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And you expected it, and that match was good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I know I've seen what the women can do, and they need to do that more often.
Yeah.
And Nikki Bella, she can go.
She can
but
go.
she's not there. She can't take it past where she has already.
Yeah, I mean, she's still, look, 8 years of training and 8 years of really pushing herself did wonders for her. You know, she's great compared to what even she was a year ago. I don't think she's on the level of a Sasha Banks. I don't think that she's on a level of a Natalya, obviously a Paige, maybe not even a Charlotte. You know, But we just named 4. Throw in Becky Lynch, who can wrestle. You know, eventually when Bayley gets onto the scene, Emma gets back on the scene. You know, you have women wrestlers, man. Like, you can wrestle the shit out of the guys so much that you can do probably an hour-long program by itself, just women wrestling. You know, that's how good I think they are.
I think, yeah, you're right.
You know, another rumor that I heard was they're going to pull Emma and Dana Brooke from NXT to the main roster and join Paige as a heel group. And then Natalya would kind of join PCB. There was actually a joke. I forgot who it was. I want to say it was Bleacher Report. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But shout out to Bleacher Report. I read them all the time. So they had this joke where Natalya would join the now CB Team CB, and be Team NBC, and then a couple weeks later they'd realize that they're trademarked, and they would have to change it again. Yeah. I was reading that. I'm like, man,
like
dude,
the submission sorority.
Humor,
that's
man.
funny.
I love wrestling.
Yeah, that's
humor,
hilarious.
dude.
That's funny. I would have laughed at that.
But Natalya joining that group, that's an awesome group. That's an awesome stable of women wrestling. That's not even bringing in Bayley. That's not even bringing in all the girls that are kind of up and coming in NXT.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they would bring Emma back. I don't know if
I don't know if you'd put Dana Brooke and Emma back right now, but that'd be a cool little team of Paige and those two.
But again, then you're bringing in another stable. What is that? 4 stables now of 3 women each. They're eventually going to have to do the whole individual.
Yeah, they need to get like that. Add a new a women's champion kind of thing into the mix, like
women's
a tag
team champion. We've always talked about it.
Yeah,
women's tag team. Then you go women's intercontinental. Then you go women's US. No, I'm just.
I'm like, that might be a little much.
It's like 4 years from now, but
that's a long time from now.
If the WWE and NXT continue with what they're doing with the women's division, I can see them getting their own program. You have a Raw, SmackDown, and a pure women's, show. I mean, they have that much talent.
I don't know if that'll be good. It'll be like the WNBA and don't. Well, like the WNBA, they're talented people, but
you make a good point. Yeah, I feel bad for them because they're all talented. They're not watched.
It's just like anything with I don't know. It's just how the society works. They're like, oh, they don't want to watch it. But they don't get me wrong. Like, fuck, man, that'd be awesome. They get their own program and then they could have their own feuds.
They should just mix it into Total Divas. Then.
I think it'd be good if you have. It's always good to mix with the guys, and the Summer Rae Lana thing, whatever. It was fine for a while.
Yeah, but with their managers, look, Miss Elizabeth was one of the best managers ever.
Yeah.
In the history of WWE, and she was a woman. She never wrestled, but she was one of the greatest managers there. There were a lot of great women, managers and stuff like that, but. If you're bringing in NXT women to wrestle here in the WWE, make them wrestlers, build the whole program, maybe not have a whole promotion or a show. That's fine.
I think they're going that way. I mean,
I hope so.
It's obvious, like with the, they're building off the match of the year candidate at TakeOver with Sasha and Bayley. And now they're doing a rematch, an Iron Woman rematch. So, I mean, they know that the crowd reacts well to them.
Yeah.
That they could put on a show and not just be looked at like look at the pretty girls wrestling each other. Like no, they're.
But give them time.
Yeah.
Give them time within the match too. Like if you watch that Sasha Banks and Bayley match, and the one that's probably coming up for 30 minutes. I mean, they're given time. Like these girls are given.
Time
main
to tell
event
a story.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, where they can do their moves. Like. Sometimes I know that you're pressed for time because you have so many matches on Raw and stuff like that, but they don't get the time. Like a Charlotte Nikki Bella match that'll go 10 minutes, I'll watch, but they're given 4 or 5 minutes because there's storylines behind it. Let them wrestle a little bit. Give them a full match. I don't care if whoever goes clean.
I feel like they can, but then because people are already saying that Raw is 3 hours is too long for Raw. If it was 2, the product would probably be better. I'm like, well, you gotta look how long the fucking
I don't think so.
The Kane the fucking what was it? The psychological evaluation thing. That shit took a long time.
Yeah. Altogether, 30-40 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a 2-hour show, I agree. If you're doing a 2-hour show plus commercials, no. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
3 hours I think is perfect.
I think 3 hours is great.
Anything less than that, 3 hours is perfect for what they want to do because they have the talent on their roster now to get it done. So that was SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next couple weeks to happen. Hell in a Cell is going to mold itself into a good pay-per-view. I am excited for Hell in a Cell, not just because it's the next pay-per-view, not because there's going to be probably, cage matches, but because it's in Los Angeles.
Yes.
At the Staples Center. And we are doing whatever we can in our power to go to this event for you guys. We want to do a live broadcast with live interviews and everything like that at the show. If we're unable to get actually in the show, we're going to be outside. We're going to be, listening for the crowd reaction and commentating on that. We're going to do whatever it takes. But if you are going to the if you are going to the pay-per-view,
give us your tickets.
Yeah, give us your tickets. If you are going to the pay-per-view in Hell in a Cell, look for us. We're going to be doing interviews. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to be, kind of pushing our brand over there. So can't wait, man. It's going to be exciting. Going to be exciting for Hell in a Cell.
It's going to be dope.
So now that we've done the SmackDown and Raw thing, what we do here on Shoot Sessions is we shoot the shit. We talk about topics. We give each other some topics. We actually get fan mail. So we'll do the fan mail last. But let's start off with our first topic. This is a topic that we've actually been talking about for a little bit. As pure wrestling fans have probably noticed, especially at Night of Champions, for those of you that did watch, Wyatt family Shield matchup. Right before they brought out Chris Jericho, we talked about it in our review show last week. Right before Jericho came out, an idiot fan came up over the guard railing, ran into the ring, stood right behind Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in his stupid, shield outfit.
Did you hear it? I was watching that clip again. He runs up and he says, "What's up, brothers?" Right before he gets.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That makes it so much worse.
Before he gets. He gets taken out.
But the thing is, like, he's standing there for a good 5 or 6, 7 seconds, right? And security kind of just escorts him out. Referee's kind of pointing, and it's like. Yeah. But before we continue, the thing that Wyatt said after that, when he came up, Wyatt looks at him and just straight out says, "Is this who you picked?" Oh man, dude!
And then Ambrose's like, "That's our guy."
Classic. It's good, man. I'm glad that the wrestlers are kind of having fun with this.
Yeah.
But this topic isn't about having fun. This topic isn't even about like these idiots. This is about like better security for these guys, man. Like these guys put it out on the line, injury wise and putting their bodies on the line and everything like that. The least of their worries should be having somebody kind of sneak up behind them and attack them, like in real life.
And that's, I don't think it was 6 seconds. That's a long time. I think it was shorter than that, but it was long enough.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? How did you get to the ring?
It was, the guy's standing there. The guy's standing there enough to converse with him.
Yeah.
And then security kind of brings him out. I've heard stories, articles, interviews from old school wrestlers. These guys couldn't walk after they did this, when they left the arena. These guys were, they made sure that these idiots would never do this again.
You want to be a part of this show? All right.
It's like they would be tackled. They would be, brought to the back Vegas style, like just straight out. Okay, you want to steal our money? No.
It's, I don't know.
I understand.
And I agree. I don't doubt that. Like in the past, they would have fucking gotten stomped. You wouldn't have the balls to step in there unless you were really, really, really drunk.
Can you imagine going into the ring, and on one end you see a Roddy Piper, and on the other end you see a Jake the Snake?
Oh fuck!
You'd be fucked. I'm sorry. There wouldn't be security. Wouldn't be needed. Roddy Piper would have belted him. So it's
they wouldn't take kindly.
I understand the PC aspect of everything. I get that. But better security is needed. From what I understand, the last couple of weeks they've beefed up security. This idiot at Night of Champions actually got, I think, 9 days or something like that in jail. And WWE, sent out a press release saying they will be,
prosecuting you to the fullest extent of the law,
which is good. I'm glad that they're starting. A couple points that I wanted to bring up. There was a fan that jumped the guardrail back on a Raw sometime in September, early September.
With Seth Rollins?
Yeah, walked up to, and this was televised. Seth Rollins is coming out. He's the heel, and this guy just kind of walks next to him.
He's just walking next. Hey, how come they get the weirdest people running up next to them?
But the thing is, he walked right alongside of him.
Yeah.
From almost the top of the ramp to the bottom of the ramp till he was escorted out by security.
Yeah, and then it happened with the referee had to point to him, and then security is like, "Oh shit, we should go get him."
And all this time, John Cena's in the ring, and
John Cena's like, "Hey,"
John Cena was. You could see his face. He was about to jump over the ropes and kill somebody. But it's the security. It's the security of these wrestlers that I'm more worried about. Another instance, Roman Reigns was attacked. This was a house show in Victoria, British Columbia. He was doing a match with Bray Wyatt, like they always do in their feud. Some idiot throws a Money in the Bank briefcase. Thank God it wasn't metal. It was, I think, plastic.
I remember that.
It was a briefcase that the guy made, threw it into the ring, and it hits Roman Reigns.
Head, yeah.
Imagine if it was a metal case. Imagine if it was something else. Imagine this isn't ECW. This isn't 1998. This isn't that time. You have a company that's publicly traded, and you have a company that is so big. You have to put better security.
Yeah, I keep I remember when that thing happened on Night of Champions, or wasn't Night?
Night of Champions.
I was on the Shoot Sessions Twitter, and then I wrote, "Man, these people really like to come mess with the Shield,
dude." And again, my last thing was Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah,
Someone came up to Dean Ambrose on a SmackDown.
That was probably the worst one, because
Yeah.
he was running towards him, but the security was quick there.
Yeah, and it looked like he had something in his hand, so we can't tell and we can't be sure. But you make a good point, man. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. Then at Night of Champions, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. Dude, does
And then
everybody
the guy
want to be
says,
part of
"What's
the
up,
Shield?"
brothers?" Yeah.
It's like, okay, you lost your third member. Hey, can I be a part of your outfit?
It's dumb. I could find some humor in it, but it's like
It can't keep on happening.
What's going on? Like, and I don't know. Like, what can you do to stop it besides put in bigger punishments? Because security, sure, like they could probably do a better job, but I mean, if I'm sitting where Stephen Amell is sitting and I decide to jump the fucking thing, like I'm sure I could get into the ring.
Oh yeah, because the ring doesn't seem that far from where you are, especially if you're in the front row.
Yeah,
and I understand you can't have a security guard every 6 feet.
Yeah,
because that takes away from being a fan. I understand that, but first of all, it comes down to these idiots. Just they need to stop doing this. Look, these wrestlers are putting their lives and the careers on the line to do moves that make you say holy shit.
Yeah,
respect them and not fucking get in the ring. Look, if you're not going to do anything, it doesn't matter. Why are you in there? 15 minutes of fame?
Fucking it up. And like, you gotta have some stupid idiot if you're gonna get those nice seats and then fuck everything up by jumping in there.
Yeah, if I paid however much for those seats, especially at a pay-per-view like Night of Champions, when you haven't seen the whole card yet, that's just stupid.
Oh yeah, that's dumb.
That's just stupid.
And you didn't get to see the fucking Sting and Cena match.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at me, I have my little Shield outfit that I made out of
It was
clay
like a cool job,
cardboard,
dude. Like, nice
paper.
fucking job. What are you thinking? Like,
but I'm glad that at least WWE understands it. They're prosecuting because that's really all they can do. They can't really do anything else. Beefing up security is good. They should start putting maybe unidentified people in the crowd.
Yeah,
where that's all they do is watch people's reactions.
Just like see somebody getting rowdy, like, okay. Then I don't know if I'd agree with that. I never liked that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I mean,
and then what else can you do? You have tell the wrestlers, like, if they jump in, you could beat their ass. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I'm not condoning anything like that. I'm just saying that back in the day, you didn't do that because you had, number one, respect for the wrestlers that are doing this for you, and number two, you would get your ass beat,
Yeah.
But I'm not condoning, don't, not condoning WWE to have the wrestlers beat up people.
I would have liked to see it. Don't get me wrong.
But at the same time, something needs to happen, whether it's a little more security, whether it's undercover people, something needs to happen. I'm glad that they're on the right track, but please, it starts from you idiots. If you're thinking about going into the ring or jumping the guard or the guardrail or whatever, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with don't do it.
Just
That's
don't
a
do
stupid idea.
So, next topic we have was actually brought up quite a while back, and we've discussed this here and there. WWE is the only main program. I can't say that it's the only program because TNA is out there. Global Championship Wrestling, I believe that they're
There's
called.
New Japan.
You have New Japan. You have Ring of Honor. Those are promotions that are there, but TNA was really the promotion that was supposed to be the next like WCW or whatever. So the topic is, and I want to hear your take on this. Is another Monday Night Wars, or not even that, is another promotion, a bigger promotion, needed to keep the WWE on its toes from becoming stale? Like the WWE programming, we talk about it every week. We discuss this. This is our livelihood. We do this. And we both agree that the programming has been a lot better, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to become stale at some point.
Yeah.
But when the Monday Night Wars, and the reason why this was brought up was because they have it on WWE Network, and you see how it was a competition. You had ratings of 6.0, 6.8, 7.0. I mean, these were high ratings.
Yeah.
Right now they're averaging about 3.6 to about 4.
Uh-huh.
On a good day they'll do 4 or 4.2.
No, and I've been reading recently, like these ratings for the last Raws have been like terrible.
Yeah. So is another, for lack of a better phrase, Monday Night Wars needed to A, keep them from being bland, and B, give the user or the viewer kind of a choice?
Yeah. All right. I don't know. As far as having another promotion go, like I don't know if that's the answer, because TNA, they had a decent run. They had Sting on there, Hogan, Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, the Hardys,
Bobby Roode. They had they had good.
They were doing shit that WWE doesn't do anymore. 'Cause they were trying to be like as Attitude Era as fuck, while WWE is trying to be PG. But I mean, look at them now. Like they're worried. Like TNA's, this is their last run. They're on the last heels.
Yeah.
They essentially, they couldn't do it. I don't know how you're gonna increase the ratings for Raw. I don't think it'll ever get back to those levels of the Monday Night War levels. Like that's prime must-see TV, and now it's only like it's back to us wrestling fans. This is cool.
So my second part of this whole thing is, why do you think it became like that? Like, why do you think the viewership's gone down? So let's just say it had nothing to do with the Monday Night Wars, or another Monday Night Wars isn't needed, or another promotion's not needed. Is it just people got sick of kind of tuning into wrestling? Have they gone sour on wrestling?
I mean, there was a time like where I wasn't watching wrestling just because I guess I grew out of it. But I eventually found my way back to it, and I love it. And I love the WWE product right now. Granted, it's probably not as good as it was before. And like, if I could go back in time and watch the Attitude Era again, like for the first time, like, oh man, I would jump at that chance.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that they were so cutting edge, and I think this PG has hindered them from really exploring and pushing the limit and pushing the envelope. The thing is, when you have a PG product, you're doing the same things just with different people, or you're doing it in a way where it's kind of the same, kind of not the same. You're trying to, but when you had the Attitude Era, and I'm not saying that they should go back to the Attitude Era. I'm just saying at its peak was the Attitude Era. And then, of course, at the same time, WCW had their whole NWO thing, But when the Attitude Era was, you didn't know what to expect. Like there would be one week where New Age Outlaws were throwing, Funk and Foley, off a dumpster, or in a dumpster off
oh my God,
off the
I
stage.
forgot about that.
We still have future episodes. Sorry for where we're going to talk about the Attitude Era. We're going to break down matches. We're going to go back back in time. Stay tuned for that. I'm still
Yeah,
excited about
I'm excited about
Stay
that.
tuned for that because Attitude Era was one of the greatest eras in wrestling history. But going back to this, you know, it went from something like that, or you would turn on the product, and I wouldn't even mind if Kai and Tai was on the TV, you know, or you know, watching Val Venus gyrate, you know, like it was just
Getting his dick cut off.
oh man, I remember that. God damn you, Kai and Tai. But you know, simple things like the hardcore 24-hour championship made you want to watch every week. You know, like those kind of must-see feuds and must-see segments really made you want to tune in, you know? Like, it wasn't just the characters. I think WWE has good characters nowadays. But back then, man, like
It's just, I don't know.
in.
There's no freedom to do, like, bigger things.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, you want to keep people safe and shit now. But then look at the last, like, couple years of whatever has been, like, groundbreaking. Like, it's been more, like, adult-oriented programming. Like, let's say, Sopranos and Breaking Bad and all that stuff. But you don't, you know, you can't create a good story like that in WWE because it's PG.
Because you can't.
And then, like, you know, when you cut promos, like, you're restricted to what you're saying. It was, I mean, like, the last time it really did peak was when Punk was around, I think.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, he was kind of doing shoot shit. Like,
yeah.
And he was, yeah, like when I said last time, or I don't know when I did, if it was 2 weeks ago or a week ago, but then, like, he was the last guy that I really remember, like, kind of made it interesting for people to tune in and watch him, like, oh, okay.
The thing is, they have interesting segments. Like, they have interesting things come up. But the one problem that I always see is they'll have a good product, or they'll have something that they can latch onto, and either rush it and it just gets destroyed, or they'll just prolong it where it's just, okay, it's over, you're killing it. They don't know, it's almost like they don't know how to end a program or how to start it, you know? Like, you have great talented wrestlers on the roster that can elevate each other and have great drama programming. They don't know how to use them. They just don't know how to use them.
They don't know how to build suspense. Like, I think, I got it earlier with, all right, cool, Kane's gonna go against, I like Kane, he's going against Rollins. Oh, fucking Kane's gonna lose.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Show's going against Lesnar, he's gonna lose. You don't have that shit anymore. Like, and they've done so much with Cena that people got tired of him, and I get that. Yeah. So that's, people were just getting bored of it.
Well, because Cena versus anybody, Cena's gonna win.
But, like, what if he loses? When he lost to, like, Owens, everyone's like, oh my god.
He lost to Owens on a match.
Are they gonna push Owens? People were, their interests were peaked.
No, I see where you're going. Yeah. I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I agree. They threw that one Owens match where he won, and it was like, holy shit, is Cena
and it was
washed
clean.
up?
That's what the most surprising thing was.
Is Cena washed up? Is Owens going to overtake? And then, you know, oh, it's okay. Cena won the next one and kept his title.
Yeah.
You know how I feel. But, you know, I wanted to hear your opinion on, you know, whether or not the staleness of WWE or you know, the fact that sometimes they don't know where they're going is a direct, you know, it has a direct relationship with not having competition. You know, like it's hard when they broke up the Raw and SmackDown brands. Remember they had the draft.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Like that. They started to make it between Raw and SmackDown. You know, it was like the whole invasion angle. There was always somebody. There was always competition. So you were watching Raw programming or WWE programming, and then all of a sudden ECW guys would come in, and then WCW guys would come in, and like there was an invasion. They could have done that a lot better too, but at the same time, it's like, okay, cool, I can watch these guys, and I'll watch these guys, and like the competition's there. But the thing about nowadays is you already know who your top stars are. You know, like I can't imagine someone in a mid-tier level going up and beating, you know, a high-level superstar. You know, but back in the day, at least they let you believe it. Whether or not it's going to happen doesn't matter. As a wrestling fan, you need to believe. And so, you know, that's
so. I mean, well, what do you think? is the solution? What is your answer to like, do we need another Monday Night Wars or?
I don't think we need another Monday Night Wars. I don't even think we need another promotion. I just think that they need to change the way that they do things. If they want to go PG, they need to go PG. That's great. That's fine. They've made their choice. But don't keep on giving us the same things. You know, like if it's working, a la Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns, it's great. But if it's not working, a la Rusev and Ziggler, cut it.
Yeah, I want to be more invested in the actual storylines than me speculating behind the scenes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
That's a great point.
yeah.
It's a great point. We as wrestling fans, and this is my opinion, as a wrestling fan, this is a soap opera for me. You know, like this is the drama that I take in that normal people will watch an actual soap opera for. I mean, they love the drama. They love, you know, like you watch these series like Breaking Bad and all that stuff. There's cliffhangers. You know, oh shit, what's gonna happen next season? What you want to watch it, but you're absolutely right. Once you take the suspense out of it, it becomes boring. Yeah. You know, Big Show, Brock Lesnar. I'll watch it because I want Brock Lesnar to F5 him through something.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about how many suplexes is this fool gonna do instead of like, oh,
who's gonna win? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but back in the day, you put Rock and Triple H in a match, Rock and Stone Cold in a match, Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels in a match, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in a match, you couldn't determine who's gonna win.
Exactly.
But now you put Brock Lesnar and Big Show in a match, okay, Brock. You put John Cena and blank in a match, John Cena.
Yeah.
You know, so it's maybe that's a solution. Maybe they need to look into pushing their younger guys.
Yeah, build them up. Like, you know? The last real like, oh shit, we gotta see this was Lesnar and Undertaker.
Yeah.
And that I'm sure people are gonna want to see it.
Oh,
Hell in a Cell.
And they're gonna keep on wanting to see it. Yeah. But that's what I think. And
yeah, as long as you just gotta like make new stars. Like I could bring up. Do you know who Dolph Ziggler is? Most people say no.
Yeah.
Do you know who?
Or their answer would be, oh yeah, that guy that likes Nikki on Total Divas.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about that. The biggest heel now.
Yeah.
Trying to steal your girl. Or like if I bring up, hey, do you know Roman Reigns? Do you know Bray Wyatt? Most people would be like, nah.
No.
But then if you just push them, make them into stars, like, okay, then have some, build that suspense again. Like, yeah, people would get back into it, I would figure.
The Rock started off as Rocky Maivia with a stupid-ass haircut and tassels on his arms.
I remember his debut.
Built him. You know, they gave him a microphone. And I've watched his documentary numerous times. What up, Rock?
Rocky.
I've watched his documentary or his movie like so many times, and the thing that they did for him was they gave him a microphone. They gave him a microphone, said, "You have a minute, go wild," and he took that when he was in Nation Domination, and he talked for the first time, and he made people hate him because he was a heel, and that made him, you know. And then, but from then on, they let him build his character. Stone Cold. He was the ringmaster. You know, he wore a fucking diamond encrusted belt. You know, for the $1 Million
like
Man.
Ted DiBiase's like bitch.
But they put him in a match at King of the Ring against Jake the Snake,
and then
he came up with his fucking catchphrase.
The Austin 316 promo, and fucking the rest is history.
Blew up. Let them go with themselves. If you're going to take NXT and use it as a promotion to build stars, let them go to WWE when they're ready and build them up even more. You know, and it goes back to this whole Bo Dallas thing. He was NXT champion. He was, you know, hated by the crowd because he was a heel, but he had a good character. You know, you bring him into WWE and you give him this happy-go-lucky Bo Leave, you know, sort of thing, and it worked for a little bit, but then
now he's just, you know, a jobber.
Now he's a jobber. Now he's a glorified jobber. Same thing with Cesaro. Same thing with Ziggler. Same thing with Rusev. Same thing with even Ryback.
But then, like, man, like those, you know, you say bring up The Rock and Stone Cold. Like, those guys are like once in a lifetime kind of stars.
But they could have gone either way. That's the thing. They're at a crossroads they could have been given the wrong advice. They could have been, oh, you know what? We're not going to give you a microphone yet. Imagine that. Imagine The Rock being a nation domination.
Not having the mic.
And not having
yeah,
the
he'd
mic.
never get over.
He would just be another eventual jobber. Stone Cold. Don't give him King of the Ring. Don't give him a speech at the end. Where is he? You know?
Man,
I mean,
yeah.
I know.
Good point.
It's hard to fathom that, you know? But give these guys a chance. You know, hashtag give Divas a chance. Give all these wrestlers a chance. Give them a microphone.
Yeah, give them a chance.
If they sink, they sink. But it's
Yeah.
on them, you know? But if they're given a chance and they shine, push them.
And they're
Push
giving some people a chance.
Yeah,
but-
I'm glad. Like New Day, it's great. You know?
Yeah, they're gonna get mic time no matter what. Now they've proven themselves. Then I don't know. You got to build them through stories more to be like to get
All
them to
drama-filled.
fucking levels of Stone Cold and The Rock.
Yeah, and
But
and you're
they're getting a push.
you were absolutely correct. Stone Cold, Rock, even Triple H, they're gems in the rough. They're one in a million type wrestlers because they had the
Yeah.
charisma, they had the wrestling skills. Actually, they didn't even have the wrestling skills. They built their wrestling skill movesets.
Yeah.
But they came from somewhere. So I'm just saying, if they want to continue with this, because your Randy Ortons, your Undertakers, even your Brock Lesnar's, they're getting older.
Yeah, they're not gonna be around for a
You
while.
know, even your John Cena's. John Cena could probably wrestle another 40 years the way that he fucking pumps iron and, you know, helps children. And, you know, he's probably taking his vitamins and saying his prayers. But, you know, but at the same time, John Cena's going to get to that point where you have to kind of have him help the younger guys too.
And like, yeah, Rollins is getting a push, but they're booking him still kind of weak.
Exactly. They're booking, man. Like, you bookers. Gonna rant for another day.
Yeah.
But, you know, you asked me the question, does Monday Night Wars or another? I don't think so. I just think that they need to find themselves within and go with that. They have the talent. They
Yeah,
just need
build
to-
the stars, and I'm glad
They
because
need to
you know,
grow.
like Kofi, like I mentioned earlier with the New Day, like
Yeah.
Kofi and E, like they were good, they were there, but then they just didn't have a direction to go. But
Yeah.
now that they gave them a chance with New Day and they're starting to shine,
Yeah.
like all right,
Yeah.
cool, I'm happy for them.
Yeah, Big E's hilarious as shit.
Yeah,
That guy's great. So, you know, that was a second topic. We want to reach into the mailbag for our last topic.
yeah.
We actually want to thank Franco from New York for sending this in.
What's up, Franco?
Shout out to Franco. What up? Thank you for listening, being a supporter, and thank you for this topic. So the topic that Franco from New York brings up is, what do you think about all these wrestlers dying early, before the age of 65, before the age of 60, before the age of 50? You know, we bring up, you know, recent, honestly, other than maybe Dusty Rhodes, in recent, you know, Dusty Rhodes did have stomach cancer, died at the age of 70. You know, God rest all these souls. But you have Ultimate Warrior, who died of a heart attack at 40 or at 54. Roddy Piper at 61 died of a heart attack. Eddie Guerrero years back died at
Cardiac arrest,
38
right? Yeah.
at acute heart failure, cardiac arrest.
Dang.
You know, Mr. Perfect, cocaine intoxication at 44. You know, I mean, I can go on and on and on. You know, and this is a great topic, man. Thank you, Franco, for bringing this in.
Yeah, man, thanks.
You know, but this is a great topic. Let's start off. What do you think is the cause or part of the root cause for all of these things happening to wrestlers, you know, when they're dying early?
Part of it, well, obviously, like these guys. Well, back in the day, there's like big steroid issues and the partying.
Yeah.
You could look at guys like Scott Hall, man, like how he was in a bad shape before. Like I'm really glad that he kind of got himself back together.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was seeing it with him, and then you guys like, you know, you just said like Mr. Perfect doing the drugs and shit, and who else? Thinking like Miss Elizabeth even like.
Yeah. And, you know, like Randy Savage, you know, and just, it's just all these guys dying at an earlier age. I mean, for me, you know, I grew up with these wrestlers. You know, I grew up in the 80s and 80s wrestlers and stuff like that. You know, you grew up more with the 90s crowd and the next century. But I mean, I grew up with these guys, and, you know, I loved, you know, the Miss Elizabeths and the Savages and stuff like that. But the one that really hit the hardest at least since I've been watching wrestling, is Eddie Guerrero.
Oh,
because
man.
because this was at the pinnacle when I knew what wrestling was, when I can relate to understanding the backstory of wrestling. Like I wasn't just a little kid saying, "Oh, that's a great move," and I want to copy that and blah blah. Like, during the 80s and 90s the 90s and 2000s, I started understanding because I was older. When Eddie passed away, this was after he beat Brock, for the title.
Oh man, that was such a moment.
Which I cried. I cried
shit.
when he beat Lesnar.
Yeah.
When him and Benoit did, they both won their
Who's that?
titles at WrestleMania years back, and they hugged in the ring with confetti. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
But this is the time when I was watching. This is the time when I loved wrestling. And when Eddie passed, he was found by Chavo in a hotel room. It's like you look at it, it's like, okay, your first instinct is back in the day they used to do drugs and stuff like that. And I mean, he's always had a problem.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the WWE has put in this no drug policy. I think it started in 2006. They have this you get suspended. Actually, I was reading up. Hornswoggle is actually on a 30-day
Oh yeah.
substance abuse thing.
Which
because
I'm like, oh well, you don't see him anyway, so whatever. But
he's not exactly. Yeah, he's not exactly on the main superstar
he's
roster.
not a prime example.
Yeah, but at the same time, they do random drug tests. They, they're very conscious about their wrestlers and stuff like that. I wish they did it a long time ago. I'm not gonna sit here and say whether or not Vince McMahon knew about this whole thing. I know he went to court, about this whole thing in the 80s and 90s, but like that seems to be the main factor.
It does, but I also think, these guys, they're wrestling like how many times a week sometimes.
They do house shows. They do, they do televised programming. You're talking 4 or 5 times a week.
And like how often you get an NFL game like once a week or something.
Once a week.
Yeah. So, and that could do some toll on your body. Like, I don't know if Undertaker ever did drugs or whatever, but he's 50, but he looks fucking like he's like, he's aged from all that, the wear and tear.
Yeah. It's a good point. I'm not saying that everything, every death was drug related.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about 80s wrestlers and even early 90s wrestlers, that seems to be the
like
the census.
Was it Brian Pillman or
Brian Pillman?
was he a drug guy or
he was? I believe he was. I don't want to say for sure, but I think that's how he passed.
Okay, I think I had a list up here because I remember like people that I was going through this list. I was like, I can't believe like they're gone like that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know like Test. He was 33 when he died. I'm like, oh shit.
Test was another one. I mean, he wasn't that high Carter, but yeah, I mean, it's just like these are guys that we kind of grew up watching, and they're not here. Wear and tear has to be part of it, obviously. When you're wrestling like that, you're jumping from the cage and you're doing all these things. I mean, honestly, Shane McMahon, he hasn't passed away or anything like that, but the kind of shit that he was doing, and he was a part-time wrestler.
He was jumping out the Titantron.
He was a part-time wrestler jumping from a Titantron to a table down below just to get like views, man.
That
like,
guy is, man, I have mad respect for Shane
and
McMahon.
he didn't have to do this, dude. He's the son of the fucking owner.
You're
chairman.
wrestling. Yeah, even Vince McMahon, like, when they got in the ring, they wanted to fucking put on a show. They didn't want to be like, these guys are weak. Nah, remember they had like the Shane against Vince McMahon match, and they had like trash cans and shit in the ring.
When he did the Van Terminator from one end to the other, that was amazing.
I was like, what?
Amazing.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You don't need to be doing that. But
I think he was also in that match with Kurt Angle where Kurt Angle belly to belly suplexed him over his head into the lights, the LEDs, and it broke.
Oh yeah, and then like
fucking Shane, man.
He took some mad bumps, man.
But yeah, it for me, if you're talking about earlier wrestlers, yeah, drugs had a lot to do with it. But yeah, this wear and tear, man, it's no joke. Like you wrestle so much.
But yeah, I think it is predominantly like drugs, like Rick Rude. I see here, 41 overdose. Crash Holly overdose at 32. Like,
we here at Shoot Sessions do our research. Just to let you know, we love talking about this shit, but even more, I love looking up this shit. So,
Davey Boy Smith, 39 overdose. Like, wow. And I guess one that really hit Andre the Giant. He died at because he was just too big.
Yeah,
so
you expect failure, in organs and stuff like that.
Yeah, he died of gigantism. So I'm really like happy Big Show's still around.
Yeah, that's why Big Show doesn't have to do all this, man. Like, put him in another role. Like, I think he has a great mind, but take him off as a wrestler. Like Christian did the same thing. Christian had, I think it was a concussion. He said it on the Stone Cold podcast, and he kind of just retired. There was no fanfare, no nothing, but he kind of just retired because, of all the injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you gotta. That's why I'm glad that Edge stopped when he did. The doctors, the WWE doctors.
I mean, he kind of had to.
Well, yeah, but like, of course they're gonna try to force him, but he still had to be smart to stop, because I'm sure that all these other wrestlers, that this is all they have, this is their life, this is all they know.
Do Randy the Ram shit like the wrestler movie.
Yeah. It's like know when to stop, because the wear and tear is gonna eventually, like look at Mick Foley, dude. He has a permanent limp. He can't stop that limp.
Yeah.
And he stopped pretty early.
But he was taking the craziest bumps, like fucking barbed wire, explosives, like getting thrown off the Hell in the Cell. Like, oh man, I'm surprised. I don't know, like, how fucking Terry Funk is still alive. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, what? But and I'm glad, obviously.
Yeah, but it's crazy. I think they need to slow down a little bit, especially these younger wrestlers. It's gonna be better for them. They could still have a career outside of wrestling when they're still fairly young. But rest in peace, all these wrestlers that we've lost just this past year. Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper.
Yeah, there was another thing that I wanted to bring up about this. It's there's an interview Roddy Piper did a while back for HBO Sports, where he was just kind of complaining about, like, oh man, what am I gonna do with my pension? Or I'm 49. What am I gonna do about my pension? I can't get it till I'm 65. Yeah. And he's like, let's face it, I'm not gonna make it to 65. And that got brought up recently when he died, and that freaking shocked me. I was like, oh, so he knows. So, because I mean, you're an athlete. You usually kind of, I mean, it's not uncommon for you to live long enough to 65.
Yeah.
Like, look at there's a bunch of athletes I know that are like up in there.
Look at football. Like, you could take football as a prime example. It's like they do this once a week, but they still practice. They still go through, rigorous training and all this stuff. They get smashed in the head. Doesn't matter how big their helmet is.
Yeah.
They need to watch out, just like these wrestlers. The thing is, wrestlers don't have helmets. They don't have, any gear that can really guard them. Yeah. And these are the guys that are like, I go back to the whole TLC thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these 6 guys, 2 TLC matches and whatever TLC matches they did in between, these guys threw themselves. The Hardys, I don't know how Jeff Hardy's still standing, to be honest with you. I don't know how Jeff Hardy walks. I don't know how Edge and Christian, well, I mean, obviously they're retired probably because of it. But Dudley Boys, they went through ECW.
Yeah,
they did barbed wire matches. Stuff. They did fire table matches. They did all this shit. And they're still going strong. And I'm all for that. That's great. But, there's got to be a point where it's too much. But
yeah.
And
they don't make them, jump off the Hell in the Cell anymore and do anything too crazy. Like, it's already like that table bump that Sting took. That's already, people would consider that dangerous considering he's that old.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like, first of all, they wrestle how many times a week, and they don't get like a spring training break or anything like how or NBA off season. Like they're going year round.
Yeah.
Remember how we brought up a few weeks ago, like, and it was the season premiere.
Yeah.
And just it's weird because it just never stops.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. There was no finale. There was technically no finale.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they have summer reruns. I agree. But you know, to answer your question, Franco, at least for myself, you know, it's a mixture depending on what wrestler we're talking about. The old school wrestlers, you know, I'm not saying that they all did drugs, but you know, it was more likely that they died from that, partying too much, alcoholism, stuff like that, because you always hear stories run rampant with wrestlers in the old days. But nowadays, I think it's just the wear and tear, like Doza was saying, and the fact that maybe they need to slow down, you know, like save that jump off the top rope, you know, onto, you know, a table of thumbtacks for a WrestleMania. You know, don't do it on a house show because it doesn't make sense.
To WWE's credit, they're like really good about that now, and they you know, when Razor was in bad shape, they were trying to actively get him some help. They take care of them, their old wrestlers, and like guys like even Daniel Bryan now, they're like, don't wrestle. Yeah. You're fucking hurt. Yeah. Like, so. Yeah,
and again, these wrestlers, this is their passion, this is their love, so it's hard for them to say no to it. But yeah, Daniel Bryan, I mean, if these doctors say that you're not ready, you're not ready. You know, like, don't push yourself, you know? So, you know, it's my take on it.
Yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about that, too.
All right, well, on that note, we'd like to thank you once again for joining us on Shoot Sessions in our temporary Shoot Session studio area.
Yeah.
We'll be back to the same place next week. But it was fun once again, man. I look forward to these. Just to kind of give you guys out there a little heads up, we have some special things planned in the future. We've already talked about the Hell in a Cell with you guys. You know, we have roundtables that we're going to talk about. We have other topics. If you have any topics or comments or anything like that, things that you want us to talk about, give us an email, shootsessions@gmail.com. You can leave comment down below on our YouTube page. Go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Shoot Sessions. As always, you know, you can always reach us on that. But we do have a few things planned, a few special things planned. You know, we look forward to having you enjoy that with us, and we enjoy every week doing this for you guys. You know, we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, man. That's all I don't want to reveal too much.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
But yeah, anything, you guys have any feedback, feel free to tweet us. Tweet me. I'll respond to you.
You're saying I don't respond? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Doza La Prince and Romulus Inc. You can hit us both up individually or Shoot Sessions, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I believe, you know.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
And then go on to YouTube, check out the videos we have of this.
Yeah.
iTunes, Stitcher, Shoot Sessions.
Check out our previous episodes. You'll like what you see. But again, it was a pleasure having you guys with us. It's always a pleasure to be sitting next to this cool guy right here, Doza.
Yes.
I'm your host, OJ. Thank you again for listening to us. Shoot Sessions episode 7. We out.
Later.